Welcome back to the Nerdcast. Dakota, thanks for being on the show again. What's up, bro?
Going like a villain.
Hey, happy birthday, by the way. Birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
So, yeah, something we both talk about a lot is Space Marine 2. I mean, Warhammer 40k. How familiar are you with Warhammer 40k? Like, how entrenched into the insane heavy metal universe are you?
Well, I'm no expert. I know enough to get me by,
Right.
and I know enough to understand references.
Have you played any 40k games? Read any books?
I haven't read any of the books other than like some of the random excerpts that you find on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Or overviews on YouTube.
Yeah.
Game-wise, shoot, I'm forgetting the game, but there was played Vermintide. I played Space Marine 2.
You played Space Marine 2?
I did play 40k. There was down RTS, and I forget exactly what the name
Oh,
was.
Total War? Total War?
Was my jam.
The one where you build armies.
You know how I am with my RTSs.
Yeah, so you're familiar enough 40k. You are Rogel Dorn, by the way, and I'm totally Fulcrum. I'm
You say
someone
that
who
as I'm playing Satisfactory.
I would look if I was a Field of Chaos, it'd probably be Slanesh or Siege. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Slanesh would be fun for like 12 minutes, but then when you get into lore accurate Slanesh, it gets fucked.
Jeez, does it?
When you really get into how accurate Slanesh is from a lore accurate perspective, it's not even like Crucible BDSM fun anymore. It gets just something out of Lucifer's hell. Yeah, no, my favorite thing about 40k is probably the Chaos Gods. I do enjoy the nature of the warp. If you're familiar with that dimension, chaos. I do enjoy the concept of chaos. It's a perfect like cosmic villain. I do resonate with that. Who's your favorite faction?
Kind of a mix.
Okay.
Obviously, the standard normal Blood Ravens that everybody knows and loves. Gotta love them.
Okay.
Ultramarines. If we're talking strictly game-wise, Necrons.
I can respect that. Space mummies. Okay, I can respect that.
Never-ending space mummies that went to sleep because they got bored.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Warhammer I really enjoy. I enjoy the grim, dark universe. I enjoy the universe and the lore more than pretty much any other sci-fi saga out there right now.
Yeah.
40k became my replacement for Star Wars after Legends was canned by Disney. If that makes sense.
That it does.
Do you know how many Star Wars Legends fans left Star Wars and went to Warhammer 40k? It's ridiculous. There was like
I could see it. I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Star Wars got hit hard with Disney's
bullshit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the Mandoverse, but
yeah, but when the Mandoverse is like one of the only things that makes sense.
Because Dave Filoni is directing it, and he's trying to bring back Legends. Kathleen Candy can burn in hell. I'm sorry. Fuck her. Fuck her.
Yeah.
But speaking of corporate... You're probably aware of how evil Games Workshop is as a company, right?
Yes. And I have my issues with them.
So my issues with Games Workshop... The two gaming companies I used to trust, but now I'm completely against, is Games Workshop and fuck, what are they called? Wizards of the Coast. You want to go into the Wizards of the Coast sort of shit for a little bit, then we can talk about Games Workshop.
Sure, you can go into that.
So I've told you about how Wizards of the Coast is now hiring like people to report content creators that call them out on their shit.
Yes, which is totally awesome.
Which is fascist. It's communist. It's fascist. It's both these things at once. I mean, it's just, you know what's funny? They took down their report board within less than a day because people were giving them such shit and trolling them about it.
Good.
And here's the thing.
They deserve that.
Here's the thing with D&D. Here's my thing with D&D and Wizards of the Coast. I acknowledge D&D has always been for people who are neurodivergent and queer. You know, there's always gonna be that's been part of the key market for a long time, and I want that to be the thing. You know.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason there's an overlap with people who are neurodivergent and are queer and they enjoy role-playing games. There is a legit overlap, and I support that overlap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you look at the freaking art and the freaking pandering and, like, you know what I mean by this, right?
Yes, they're completely going and changing whole factions and deleting whole chunks of lore, canon to fit an agenda.
And once again, D&D, like, I love me the gay bard from, like, Witcher, or, like, queer, like, woman bards from Dragon Age who you can turn into the Pope of said religion, and you can be banging the woman Pope of the Chantry in Dragon Age Inquisition. I love that. That's good storytelling, but it's not forced and it's not corporate as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way you can be pro-LGBT and pro-pride without forcing it and making it into, like, some pandering Tolkien sort of representation. But you want to go into that? What you internalize by that meaning? You want to give me your thoughts on that whole statement?
The issue comes in of they're honestly, the whole pandering thing comes down to greed. Companies just get greed. They get big and they get greed.
It's not
and then they start destroying things that were healthy, inclusive, in order to create what is effectively a non-inclusive environment.
Yeah, it's kind of the exact opposite of what LGBT like representation should be. If you know what I mean.
Sorcery. Skills?
Yeah, I do. Friggin', I've worked with several individuals who were gay or lesbian. My aunt is lesbian. I live next door to an elderly couple that are lesbian. I have zero issues with it, obviously.
Yeah, I'm queer myself.
But their big thing is, why are we excluding, now we're just excluding people instead of what we were supposed to be doing, which was seeking inclusion.
Yeah, I mean, compare that to, like, old school Star Trek or Stargate SG-1, and now compare that to what modern day sci-fi is looking like day by day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should be a fellowship of weirdos and heroes getting together from all these different backgrounds, being the outcast heroes who save the world. That is what I call real woke. What SG-1 and Star Trek are all about. Now when I look at it, it's me versus you, my ideology versus you, and I hate that in modern day fantasy and sci-fi.
SG-1 did such a good job, I'd say, of asking the hard questions, but not acting like it has all the answers.
I mean, there was this period where we were questioning dogma of gender norms and, like, character norms and character rules and gender rules in media and fantasy and real life. And I was all for that. But I think there's a reverse of it now where we're like, if you don't agree with this, you're no longer welcome amongst us. We replace one dogma for another, if that makes sense.
It does, and I think it's the nail right on the head.
And once again, I wish we could get back to that old school, like, inclusivity, where it was the people versus the real evils of the world and not people against other people. Not my ideology versus your ideology, but I wish our stories were like the good guys versus the evil empire, not my ideology of politics and economics versus your ideology of politics and economics. That's just something I've noticed aside from fantasy the last decade or so.
Yeah.
What's your take, dude?
I've noticed it as well, and it's something that's really, it's honestly made me sad.
Yeah.
You and I are both major sci-fi fans. We watch a lot of sci-fi channel, Star Wars, Stargate, all of it.
Yeah, well, not
we grew up when sci-fi was becoming a thing.
At its fucking peak. Let's face it, 2000s, 90s was the golden age of sci-fi in this country.
Yeah. And now look at it. It's
nothing but ideology versus other ideologies, me versus you.
yeah, and that's not what it was. That's not what Sci-Fi Channel that raised us essentially.
Well, there's exceptions like Magicians. Magicians was good. I did enjoy that show.
I never really got into that one, to be honest.
The reason I liked it was it was about a bunch of magical weirdo psyker mages and queer people who had all these psych abilities and were fucked up as hell, and how these fucked up people went about their relationships and were the heroes of the story. Not because they're perfect, but because they're imperfect and they're the unlikely heroes in the midst of their brokenness. If that makes sense. Which, I'll take that any day of the week over Star Wars Disney canon or 90% of the shit on Disney nowadays. It was 100%. queer. It was queer as fuck, but I enjoyed it. And I do identify with Quentin. But back to the Games Workshop and like Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, so in the last 10 years, they've gotten rid of the OGL. There was the OGL thing from a couple years ago, if you remember that.
Yep.
What's your take on that one? Was that corporate greed and illegal, or did that make sense?
Honestly, that was around the same time that they started reversing their concept of they didn't want to copyright a bunch of the shit because they wanted it to spread. They wanted people to be more inclusive, to go create and build, but they almost pulled a friggin' Nintendo. Anybody that knows Nintendo likes to sue you for no reason.
Oh, don't get me started on Game Freak. Don't get me started on Game Freak.
Oh, it's so much more than Game Freak, dude.
But no, I mean, like, the OGL was a brilliant, like, imagine having the code to create whatever magical world you want to create using our rule system, and we can expand the gaming market and industry in ways we never thought possible. But because of corporate greed, we're now going to, like, undo this thing that's been around for over a decade and try and make money off independent content creators. And Critical Role hated this, by the way. Critical Role fucking hated the OGL. And my thing has always been, like, I'm a nerdy capitalist. I'm a nerdy free market person, I should say, is a better way of saying it. I love nerdy enterprise. I love free market, like building your own nerdy business. I'm all about that. As an artist and a content creator myself, I'm all about that. What I'm not a fan of is corporate greed. And I think the Wizards of the Coast is proof of that. I mean, are you familiar they sent the Pinkertons after a Magic the Gathering content creator because he was releasing an early copy of the new Magic set? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, which they fucked up and sent him the thing to begin with. And for those who don't know, Pinkertons are a guns for hire mercenary group, not unlike Blackwater and several other private military contractors. Except these guys have zero qualms.
Yeah. And you know what's ironic? They interrupted him midstream, and his partner was crying. Yeah, that's a whole new level of fucked. And once again, I'm going to avoid modern day politics in this. I try and avoid politics on my YouTube channel. I try and make this about art and gaming and nerd shit and counterculture. I try and avoid the political culture wars that make some YouTubers famous. I hate that shit. But I mean, I'm really tired of how the gaming industry is becoming more and more greedy and more like. I mean, look at Ubisoft. You no longer have the right to own your games anymore.
That was struck down. Or still kind of being weighed on by court because they got in trouble for it. Steam got in trouble for it. Rockstar actually is also getting in trouble for it because they're trying to. They lied under the purchase agreement. Because they say buy is you own and it applies to ownership.
Yeah, I mean, other examples.
And they're supposed to use that.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is with Games Workshop, people are literally what's it called? 3D printing their Warhammer minis without giving an ounce of a dime to Games Workshop.
I mean, that's what happens.
I fucking love that, by the way.
That's what happened.
I fucking love that.
That is an example. Now you don't mess with the nerds when it comes to their hobbies.
Yeah, 3D printing could probably just make Wizards of the Coast and like Games Workshop go out of business overnight. Let's face it, if we really commit to it.
Well, they already charge an exaggerated price for pages.
Games, dude, Warhammer Mini should not be as expensive as they are. That's my hot take.
Especially if you have to assemble and paint all of them.
Although there is kind of like an almost meditative thing around painting Warhammer Minis. There is almost like a mystical, like fucking ritual to the whole thing of it. People will literally put on like
The access code should lie with the server scum.
Which I fucking love. I gotta do that myself. But yeah, the main thing I want to talk about in this podcast is the greed and corruption I've been seeing with Games Workshop and Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, I mean, people are literally in uproar. Someone made a freaking like AI art of a dragon lighting up their entire like freaking parade of freaks online, and they're on fire running around. It's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful.
Yes, it really is. Like that's their.
And once again, I mean, D&D and like modern day fantasy has been a huge part of the LGBT like culture for decades now. I get that, and I want that to be a thing. I want more women and people of who are different, who are neurodivergent in these atmospheres and these cultures. And I do want D&D and Warhammer to be more common. I think D&D and Warhammer are a great place for young weirdos and teenage weirdos and outcasts to find community. And I do want these communities to grow larger. But I don't want them to keep going the way they've been going, if that makes sense. You want to expand upon that? Your thoughts?
Honestly, I want very similar. I want everyone to have access to it. I want everyone to be able to go and enjoy this wonderful game set, but not at the cost of corporate and
or bullying,
lying, and bullying. Basically saying I have more money than you, thereby I don't have to adhere to get the same cause.
Or how about like the online?
We all know where they're going.
Yeah, and then there's the online gatekeeping, which is something else I really fucking hate in these communities. Which I do think.
So.
I think I'll tell you stories about how my D&D club on campus thought I was racist because I made jokes about hobbits and everything.
We are free of that too. Now we can deal with the traitors.
Which is just ridiculous. Which is just fucking ridiculous. I mean, we're now getting so woke, we're defending the rights of fictional fantasy races. Which I think is just so fucking ridiculous. It's just, it's so stupid.
And I think the argument of, oh, well, if you don't like them, then obviously you're a racist it's not an argument. It's not.
Yeah.
If anyone's a racist, it's the one who talks down to you.
Yeah,
not the one that makes fun of shit.
People, okay, here's my hot take. Dave Chappelle is not homophobic, alright? I like Dave Chappelle. He's funny. And it's ironic, you know Brittany, my therapist? She still thinks he's funny, and she has trans clients who still enjoy his content. Let that tell you something. My therapist has trans clients who still love Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that says a lot about this. Just
like how there's trans people that still enjoy J.K. Rowling, right?
Wait by the altar to the light.
And once again, I hate how these online communities used to be a place where like everyone can be part of it. And now it's kind of turning into like, I'm not saying this is a majority. It's still a minority. People on these online gaming communities are assholes and gatekeeping. But they're getting but they are rising in like their intensity, if that makes sense. What's your take?
It does. Honestly, it's kind of one of those. Before, you could have said it was a form of ism or racism, and now it's almost like these areas that were supposed to be these safe spaces have become elitist, but in a different way. Where now if you're not something that falls within every single expectation that every single thing that they believe in, and if you don't necessarily ascribe to that, then they think you're trash.
There are the obvious exceptions. This is Critical Role has avoided politics in their stories. And
We must continue to
Matt Mercer has been since the very beginning. This is about having fun and telling really cool, fun, fancy adventures with a lot of comedic humor. And that's where I got into D&D content creation, was Matt Mercer, not D&D creators who use their channel as a way for politics. I mean, I've done a live stream with Munch and Tavian on here before, where there's a D&D YouTuber who literally content created, and he was doing it purely for social politics, and he essayed in fantasy and fiction. He was a creeper to one of his players, and he sexually assaulted her in character in D&D, in a D&D stream. It's sick. He was like pandering me, a white male feminist, and all about like women's rights, making this a safe space for queer people. But yeah, you pulled that shit, Whereas Matt Mercer, he's never been about politics. He's always been about like, I want to tell a story and make a world where people can fall in love.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. What's your take?
Honestly, I'd say that Matt is one of those people that, and you're one of those people too. You love creating things. And honestly, all you really want to do is share this thing you enjoy with people, but not at the cost of trying to make people believe what you want. Not at what is effective. The exact opposite of what our countries do.
Yeah, Matt is an artist. He wants to tell stories, and he's a modern day Tolkien, if you ask me. That's my hot take. Matt Mercer would give Tolkien a run for his money. That's how much of a world builder the guy is. And like Tolkien, he's interested in creating a story for people to escape from reality from. And that's what I think content creation and fantasy should be about.
And I agree.
And I once again, now to the woman aspect of this, Warhammer has a shit ton of female representation in it, if you're familiar. You have woman inquisitors, you have bolter bitches, machine gun nuns, who lead crusades against demons and heretics and cultists. And they're not given the same representation that Space Marines are given, which I wish they were. Like, how would you feel about like a 40k video game or a campaign series solely focused around the scissors battle? How would you feel about that?
Honestly, I would love it.
It'd be good representation.
Having a friggin' trying to take something that's at its base, at its core, wasn't what now you're trying to twist it into, never existed, mind you, and that's where the issue comes in. They're trying to take something that's a certain way for a reason, and now they're just trying to change it, not because it needs to change, not because it's not sending the right message, but because if they change it now, they can tack on to this bandwagon going around through companies and then make more money.
Fucking with the lore just to make it. Fucking with long-standing lore that's been there since the beginning, just for social media brownie points to make money off the cult of WotC. That's how I see it. And once again, I want more women in 40k. I have close friends who are huge Warhammer nerds. I want to see more Slaneshi fucking... This is how much of a degenerate I am. I want to see more streamers dressing up like Slanesh and cosplaying as her and, like, making fun content on Twitch. I'm all about that, okay? I'm all about that shit. That's fun. Yeah. That's fun. What I don't want is... And by the way, female Space Marines wouldn't even be attractive. They realize that, right?
I mean, I realize it. I don't know that most people realize it because most people are going to go, oh, and obviously I also
It would make no sense because Space Marines are like supposed to be roided out children's soldiers.
like even
like as soon as they hit puberty, they go for super puberty and become like fucking hulks of super soldiers. That's the whole point of the Space Marine transformation. And do you really think you could sell that as a sexy anti-sort of you know what I'm trying to say here? You really think you could sell anything out of that from a sex perspective? Not really.
I mean, if they're talking about like a whole bunch of Gina Carano's, well, that's one thing. But no, they're not.
Yeah. I mean, Space Marines aren't really that sexy. I'm queer and I'm not attracted to a single Space Marine. That is my hot take.
Especially when we have the friggin' Sisters of Battle. Like, come on.
Jesus Christ.
There's already a whole only female branch in there.
And they're literally women warriors with guns, and they're obsessed with the Emperor, and they worship him as a sexy bone god, bone daddy. And they want.
I mean, most everyone does to me.
The Sisters of Battle have a sexual affection for the Emperor Mankind, and it's how they get off. And look, Sisters of Battle. Yeah, that is the thing.
That tracks.
Yeah, and they make jokes about this. There's entire online threads and Reddits where people make jokes about this. But no, the Sister Battle, just commit to them. They're really ordained women nuns with machine guns, and they fight demons and lead crusades. And they can inspire entire like penal colonies and like armies of fanatics, and like martyrs will follow them into battle. There's even a nun, I think she became a living saint of the Emperor, and became an archangel, and fights hordes of chaos and demons like every couple centuries. That sells. Yeah. That fucking sells. That's like, I think during the fall of Cadia, her name is like, I think it's like Sister Saint Calstein. She's called the Emperor's daughter. She's a living saint who became an archangel. And she literally fought like hordes of bloodletters and corn demons and allow the Imperial forces to evacuate the planet before it got fucked. How do you feel about that one? You with me?
You're cutting in and out.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
So there's literally an entire archangel, the Emperor's personal like version of a Michael or Gabriel, who pretty much saved the entire Imperium on like more than one occasion. Shows up in the worst conditions when the Imperium is about to lose the forces of chaos and battle hordes of demons. Like, no, not even Space Marines have that kind of direct like connection to the Emperor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is literally an Archangel War Saint who is an ascended battle nun who saves the Imperium at its worst moments, turns the tide of battle. Why aren't we selling that? You want to make money? Sell stories and characters like that, you know? What's your take?
Sell fucking story. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Instead of giving us this pandering ass shit, give us actual good, creative shit that is empowering. Because changing the fucking Space Marine,
okay. It's empowering.
So that it's stupid. It really is stupid because now, what if that happens to be the only thing that the one, like, example here. You have a bullied kid because they're bullied about their faith, for example.
Yeah.
For all we know, they could be Hindi or whatever. But they latched on to Warhammer 40k. Or, better yet, what about the one gay dude that is a friggin' muscle buff dude that identifies with the Space Marines and uses it as a form of friggin' RPG therapy, which we both know happens.
Yeah, that's one that I try and use my own content creation for that purpose.
Now we're taking that safe space away from.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Well, here's my thing on Sister Battle. What if you're a woman who has a strong faith, but you want to prove yourself and you want to be an individual and be a badass? And what if the Sisters of Battle represent to you, hey, maybe I can be a practicing Christian and still be a badass and love to be a tomboy or be a freaking hero on the battlefield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what if the Sisters of Battle are a way you as a woman can hold on to being spiritual but also being a badass? You know, that's how I see it. And let's face it, there are real Sisters of Battle out there. There are literally Kurdish women Christian militias in the Middle East right now that kick ISIS's ass. Do you see
Yeah, there are.
Do you see that parallel? I mean, you're military. You've been in that region of the world probably quite a bit.
I've been there enough to say that yes, there are women who like the Sisters of Battle. It's true. There are. There are some women that out there that plain and simple, I, as a 6'2" linebacker build, 250-pound man, am afraid of. One of them is my mother.
Yeah, you know what I always leave with when I'm talking about these like women Christian militias in the Middle East? Every time an ISIS an Al Qaeda member sees a woman gets killed by a woman, they go to an even worse part of hell than the infidels do. Which is in their own fucking holy book, by the way.
Which is rightfully deserved.
You know what these women do to really fuck with the ISIS members? They'll show their they'll like flash them to make them distracted for like a few minutes. Literally, that happens. So yeah, I got into Warhammer 40K at the same time I was figuring out about these women militias in the Middle East, and I just made connections between the two. But no, back to the Games Workshop thing. I fucking hate how these gaming franchises that I grew up loving and have been a safe space for me have been co-opted by these very self-righteous, greedy corporate assholes who don't even give a shit about queer people, by the way. They don't. Or women. It's like the cult of woke sounds good on paper, but it's completely misrepresented. It doesn't even live up to what they're preaching, if that makes sense. What's your take?
Yeah, it doesn't match up to what they're preaching because what they're preaching doesn't make sense. You know, they're sitting there and it's oh, well, we want you to be inclusive, but only with our idea of inclusivity. You can't have your own independent thought. You can't have your own way of thinking. You can't be yourself.
When I look at inclusivity of what BioWare used to be, like, if I had to give a definition of a good, inclusive gaming company that I grew up with, BioWare. Dragon Age, Mass Effect, you know? They were pushing boundaries, but it wasn't in your face, and it wasn't like the whole point of the story. The whole point of Dragon Age, Mass Effect, is you help people deal with their trauma.
The best available tactic requires an ancient battle bond to the Mechanicus compound is undergoing restoration.
Player, you know?
If I might be so bold as to meet his secret
like, I mean, like I said, you can literally take an assassin nun from Dragon Age Origins and through your relationship with her by Dragon Age Inquisition. She's a modern-day Pope Francis in the world of Dragon Age, and you're banging her, and she's reforming society. That's what I call real work. But it's not forced, and it's not in your face, if that makes sense.
Ancient machine spirit. Assist the Adeptus
Mechanicus. That's just
What do you call that kind of storytelling?
I wouldn't even say that that's real work. I wouldn't even say that that's work at all. It's basically it's what it should be.
It's progression.
Friggin', instead of
it's progression.
Friggin', the only way to actually have people be inclusive of one another is to be inclusive.
And once again, how do you do this in Dragon Age and BioWare games? You talk to them. You take time to hear them out. Where is that in modern day role-playing games? What's your take?
Honestly, friggin', The issue that I think has happened with a lot of games, or with a lot of stuff, general as it is, it's like Fallout. It's like friggin' Starfield. It's like all of these other great RPGs can change the world by what you say and how you say it. Very, very easy. But they're not limited to one option. I mean, Cyberpunk, for friggin' all that it's worth, is honestly probably one of the most inclusive games I've ever played.
Yeah.
And it did it in a way that felt natural.
And it's relational. It's individual. It's getting to know these people and like seeing where they're coming from. It's conversation based and not hit you over the head, convert to my worldview sort of like storytelling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And that's how you change people and change the world. You do it for conversation and helping people better themselves.
Don't go a spear carrier in sight.
And that's what I will always get from games like BioWare or like real RPGs versus like the shit that Games Workshop and Wizards of the Coast is currently pandering out there. If that makes sense. You want to add on that one?
Again, the thing that I'll ask is, you shouldn't use your lack of creativity as an excuse to be. Because honestly, I view it more as they're being lazy. They don't want to do the work to be creative. They don't want to. They don't want to actually make something better because they've gotten tired, or they've gotten lazy, or they've gotten complacent. I don't know which.
I think it's a little bit of both.
But
I think it's mostly narcissism.
Yeah.
And on a negative note, guess why Halo? Why? Do you know how many people? Okay, pushing a little bit here.
Stand a
Oh,
hand.
by the way, Dakota, can you give me 5 minutes? I need to go take care of something.
Yeah, man.
What needs graphene?
What was I trying to say? I mean, a lot. The gaming industry has been. We've had some solid victories and like push throughs in the last 10 years when it comes to gaming, especially RPGs. There's been some serious victories like Baldur's Gate 3, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, like some seriously good stories, you know?
Yeah.
Like we've had some solid like D&D, the true D&D experience of a diverse cast of weirdos and characters being turned into video game form. You know what I mean? There's been some serious victories for like crossover between tabletop role-playing games and online role-playing games. Some serious victories. But there's also been this has been some of the best years for gaming, but also some of the worst. And there's been a lot of like, how should I say this? We've seen a lot of the corruption in gaming in the last couple of years, especially. I mean, I think in the last few months, so many people in the gaming industry have been fired, like across the board, from Halo to Gears of War to D&D. Like, I think the main, like, Halo Studios got taken over by extremely woke SJW people who looked like they should not be running Halo whatsoever. And they were in charge for 6 months, and then they were fired behind the doors. And I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of, like, the Charlie Kirk, like, here's the thing. Bethesda got in trouble because some of their content creators were calling out, making fun of Charlie Kirk's death, you know? Just such
Honestly,
unprofessional, like, just pure unprofessional, like, inhuman displays from people in media that I'm barely a journalist at all. I do YouTube, and I would never make jokes like that if I had an audience anywhere near that big. You know what I mean?
it doesn't help too that a lot of people, and we're going to probably have some people say, well, freedom of speech, right?
Yeah, I'm all for freedom of speech, and they have the right to say it. But
Freedom of speech only means that you can't be infringed upon by the government.
doesn't mean people can't fire
Okay,
you.
that's experience.
Yeah.
You can say whatever the fuck you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it won't go against company policy or
consequences.
professional standards. Everything has consequences, good and bad.
And that applies to everyone, dude. That applies to fucking everyone.
That it does.
It applies to people who are religious and like go after queer people. It relates to people who take joy in death and an enemy of theirs politically. It's so disgusting.
100%.
And people in gaming industry, there's been so many. I enjoy progressive RPGs. I enjoy Bethesda. I enjoy a lot of these games. A lot of these people are making. I'm an ESO guy. I'm all about progressive. Like most people I play D&D with, or I do online role playing games with, are queer, are pretty left. And you know what? I try and tell stories with them to help them grow. I'm all about that. But just the sheer, like, inhuman, disgusting things people have been saying online from these companies, in these spheres, I just think is absolutely disgusting. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Making fun of another human's death is...
It's
plain and simple. It honestly, anybody who did that went from being a person that may have a solid viewpoint to scum.
And once again, I'm not trying to get into politics here. I hate Charlie Kirk for the most part. I'm not going to sell where the guy's...
I'm not a fan of the message, aside from the debate part of the message, but...
Yeah, and once again, there were people on the left that hated the way people were treating his death. There were people on the left who I follow who are acting like this is completely disgusting and you guys are not doing the right thing. From very left-wing YouTubers I follow, you know? Yeah. But that we're not getting into politics here. All we're trying to say is, folks, is that the way a lot of people in these companies in this industry were acting around that and other things before that and since that have shown a very unprofessional, very... It's shaking up the gaming industry, and I think it's revealing a lot of things. Not just Charlie Kirk's death, but a lot of the social fuckery that a lot of these people in these companies have been doing the last couple of years is really finally coming back to haunt them, if you know what I'm trying to say here, Dakota.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Do you think it's deserved, or do you think what? Karma?
100% deserved. 100% deserved. Friggin' the fact that now there's games that they're single player, but you have to have an internet connection to play them. You have to pay fucking money, microtransactions, to get some shit, because it's a single player game, but some of the shit you can't get in game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just... It's greed.
Yeah, no, I mean, and once again, I don't think I want gaming to be handled by cultural conservatives. I'm not about that. I don't want the gaming industry to be controlled by cultural conservatives. I think gaming as an art form should be to push people forward. That is one of my core beliefs as a content creator and someone who is liberal and is a gamer, you know? Sci-fi and fantasy exists to push us forward. I just don't think the way we've been doing it for the last 10 years is pushing us forward in the right direction.
No life signs detected.
That's my take.
It hasn't.
So
yeah.
You need
And
to
there's
acquire
exceptions.
Then let's not
demolition
a culturally conservative person with culturally traditionalist nobody likes.
Culturally
No, I'm
conservative.
culturally...
Yeah, what's your take on cultural conservatism? Do you think it has a place in gaming industry? Or art?
I think it does. I think that we need both, to be honest. We need both. Because cultural conservatism is going to be that's like the check. Okay. That's the check of, sure, yep, we've got a game here. We're not trying to sue people because they make shit. We're not trying to be...
Yeah, well,
and at the same time, also can sit there and go, okay, because we need both. We do. You can't represent one side and not represent another.
You need both. You know, you really respect my therapist, by the way, and she would agree with you on this. You need conservatives, like, her definition of conservative is, like, intelligent, common sense. Like, she thinks you need conservatives and liberals in society for a healthy society. There's a place for both.
I would argue to say that while the individuals tend to be more creative, your conservative individuals tend to be more like the accountants.
Yeah, no, she's saying you need both. Yeah, she thinks in like everything in society, you need conservatism and liberalism. You need a healthy balance of the two.
Yeah.
And that's why I consider you one of my closest friends, because you keep me grounded with common sense. But you're not a traditionalist, which is something I really respect about you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, man. And friggin',
yeah, go ahead.
we all know being a traditionalist doesn't get us anywhere.
And
Tradition means nothing when it has no more purpose.
Yeah, and once again, that's the reason why I'm not very religious anymore. Is just I've seen how dangerous
Ready for next
traditionalism is,
encounter.
and like I don't know. I don't like a lot of these like
Loose,
far right
safe,
YouTubers and a lot of these
enhanced
like
tactics.
extreme traditionalists in the media. They're dangerous and they have a fetish for the past, and that doesn't serve anyone. That's my
Well,
hope.
they've got a fetish for monotone.
Yeah, like
Okay, where like they support one culture group versus you can be culturally conservative and be also somewhat progressive because cultural conservatism also doesn't work if it's a monotone.
yeah, like I mean, when I think about what you're saying, a combination of the two. I want common sense. I want us to remember where we come from. And if you get rid of that, I mean, how do you think communism always rises to power? It makes you think, it makes the people hate their country of origin and hates their culture and their tradition. I mean, that's what that's Marxism to a T. It's a common trait they use. Make the people hate their country of origin, their culture, their heritage is inherently evil, and make them have this fetish for the future, you know?
Yeah.
That's like straight up indoctrination. It's straight up revolutionary talk, and we both seen where that leads globally and where it's heading right now. But at the same time, I think like you need common sense. You need to know where you come from. There's nothing wrong with your culture, your heritage. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with, hey, I can be a Muslim, I can be Jewish, I can still believe my religion, but want freedom, progress, and evolution of of philosophy and spirituality. That's where I'm at, you know? What's your take?
You friggin' honestly, there should be it doesn't matter what your race, religion, obviously I come from a military background. We don't care where you come from. With a lot of military, you'll have the most racist dude serving right alongside another dude that is the exact thing that he's racist. It's the military. You learn that just because something doesn't agree with you, you still have to, because it's their right to their opinion. They're just as valid as
started.
Yeah, that's what it should be. Now getting back to rounding this up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Where do you see the gaming industry heading, and are there any gaming companies you're hopeful about, and are there any trends that give you hope?
The ones that are giving me hope right now are some of the smaller indie companies that focus on studios, or like Star Citizen, which is still in development.
Yeah, it's the indie game. I mean, you know what gives me hope? The creators of Baldur's Gate 3. Larian, dude, they are such a good company.
Yeah.
The studio, they're not quite indie, but they're definitely like they're the new kids on the block compared to like BioWare or Bethesda, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And they're doing a great job of keeping
nonsense. Another example I can give is probably the company that made the Warhammer Rogue Trader game, if you're familiar with that. The company that made Pathfinder. They're also a smaller studio. They're pretty new, and they're making really groundbreaking RPGs. And what gets me excited about Larian is they straight up called out, but what was it? Who makes Assassin's Creed? I forget. Fuck. Who makes Assassin's Creed again? I forget. Ubisoft. They called out their corporate bullshit and their corporate communism and said this is what's destroying the industry, not anything else. The Larian Studio head literally called out Ubisoft and said, you guys are destroying the gaming industry. This is bullshit. And honestly, I completely agree with him, and I respect these younger guys, these more rookie companies, because honestly, I think they're going to take the place of the companies I grew up with, if that makes sense. What's your take?
That's, and I can see it.
Progress
I think that
brothers, we are
I
almost
think we're going
there.
to see a trend away from Bethesda.
I know you hate Todd
We're going
Howard.
to see it. Todd Howard, where is my Skyrim? Where's my Elder Scrolls 6? Where is it? That's the only question I have for him.
My remark as an ESO player, where's the new PvE? Where's the new PvP? Give me something new besides just a new campaign every year.
Your new PvE, PvP is doomed. I'm sorry.
Ready to intercept the
Give us
Tyranid
some new
above.
PvP. Give us some new PvE. Give us some more things to do in this game besides just doing quests and new dungeons. Give us some new
Listen
stuff.
to your players for once.
Yeah. And once again, I'll be an ESO diehard probably to the damn dead. It's probably the game I play most often, but whatever. Honestly, I do think SWTOR is a underserved, underdeveloped. Like, SWTOR does not get the attention it should get. That's my hot take. They could, if people invest in that, they got the right company invest in SWTOR, they could kill WoW. That's my hot take.
I don't know that it would kill WoW, but I do think that it would definitely change the industry a lot.
And SWTOR is still a good game. Plenty of people still play it. MMOs are becoming a niche culture. They're not dying out. They're just becoming they're becoming a niche. MMOs are becoming a niche, which I'm fine with. You know, MMOs, RPGs, these are always going to be niche gaming categories compared to, like, say, Call of Duty or whatever. But, you know, whatever. I guess in closing, Dakota, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for interviewing me. And what would you say to gamers who... what would you say to queer gamers, women gamers, people in general who want to enjoy games like Warhammer and D&D? But what advice would you give them to avoid extremism and to hear the other side out?
The advice I would give, and it's something that I do myself, is if there is something contradictory to my worldview, which Lord knows how many times your product was contradictory and discussed it, and I changed part of my viewpoint. Just being open to hearing people out. Every time you feel that I don't like that, and you recoil internally from some idea that contradicts what your worldview is, take a minute to step back, take a breath, and go, okay, does this have validity? Is this something that is actually true? Is this something that actually exists? Find factual evidence.
Will be broken.
And always go for discussion first. Don't start yelling or screaming. That should be like your absolute last resort. If anything, you should be yelling at your representatives or trying to tell you they're your leaders when they're
Us against 100,000 or 200,000 Tyranids.
And I think you would encourage anyone to get involved in Warhammer and D&D. These games, these rules are for everyone.
Overconfidence is a disadvantage.
100%. They're for everyone. Everyone should be able to play them and enjoy them. And I don't see why people should, like, you shouldn't fight shit like that. It's there so you can all come together to become something better.
To be the Fellowship of the Ring in the modern day world.
Ammunition, restock.
To be the hero of your own journey.
This position is defensible. Somewhat.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being on the show, Dakota. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Until next time, stay sane, fuck Trump, fuck the government, and just live your life as you see fit. Peace.
New scars in